Welcome everyone. So as I was saying, yeah, please feel free to keep your cameras on. We're in a meeting format for maximum friendliness, but please do mute yourself and I muted myself. We'll get started in just a couple of minutes. Just gonna keep admitting folks. I hope everyone's having a nice Thursday. Oh, so I'm going to, yeah, I'll just keep muting folks, but if you can, please mute yourself. But we'd love to be able to have video on if you feel comfortable. Michael, are you admitting people in? No? Oh, I see your hands.
Okay, fine. I saw I had the option of doing it, so I couldn't help myself. Sorry.
Okay.
Oh, no.
There you go. Okay. Well, why don't I get started, and then, Michael, I will officially invite you to be the person who lets people into the waiting room. Does that make sense? Is that good? Yeah? Okay.
Hey.
Okay.
Hey, be careful.
Hello, everyone. I'll stop this sharing now. Hi, everyone. Welcome. I'm just going to get my notes here. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. I hope everyone is feeling a bit of optimism and joy now that we're into this new season. My name's Fiona Wright, and I am the Public Programs Coordinator of the Carleton University Art Gallery. And I'm pleased to welcome you to the 6th edition of our Disruptions Lecture Series, featuring the Philadelphia-based performer, visual artist, and scholar, Whit Lopez. So thank you so much to Whit for accepting our invitation. I want to acknowledge that QAG, like the Carleton campus, and the city of Ottawa, is located on the traditional unceded territory of the Algonquin Nation. So if you're joining us from elsewhere, I really encourage you to let us know in the chat box below whose traditional territory you're located on. No matter where we are on Turtle Island or elsewhere in the world, we each have our own way of reflecting on and reckoning with the responsibilities to and relationships we have with this land. I hope, though, that it always includes public acknowledgement and gratitude towards the traditional and ongoing custodians and finding ways of supporting their work, knowledge, and rights. So the Wata-Osis, or maple syrup season, just wrapped up in this region. And from what I heard, it was not the best season, but local maple syrup producers were still hard at work. If you're interested, Awazibi Pure Maple Syrup is a Kitagan-Zibi Anishinaabeg community-owned business, and it's delicious and nutritious. So I'll put their website in the chat if you are interested in ordering some. So Disruptions is curated by Michael Orsini, professor in the Institute of Feminist and Gender Studies at Ottawa U. And I'll invite him to speak in a few moments, but I'll just go over some access checks now. There will be a part of this event where you'll be asked to participate if you wish, either in the chat or by unmuting. So this is a reminder to please always use respectful and kind language. You can use the raise hand function, and we will keep track of who would like to speak and cue you when it's your turn. There is live captioning and ASL interpretation available. So I'm going to share my screen just to give you some direction. So to turn on live captioning, click the up icon on the closed caption button at the bottom of your screen and select Show Subtitles. And for the ASL interpretation, make sure that you are in gallery view. So that's in the top right-hand corner. Then go into your video settings and make sure that you have checked the box that says hide non-video participants. And if you'd like to, I tend to do this, but since there's lots of people that have their videos on, which I'm so happy and grateful for, thank you so much. Then that's great. So I'll just give folks a couple of seconds to do that if you'd like. And please, if you have any questions, put them in the chat and we'll answer them as best we can. So Carleton University Art Gallery acknowledges our co-sponsors with sincere gratitude. This event is generously sponsored by the Canada Council for the Arts, the Ontario Arts Council, the Risa Greenberg Digital Initiatives Fund, and numerous departments at Carleton. So the Office of the Dean of the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences, the Pauline Jewett Institute of Women's and Gender Studies, the Institute for Comparative Studies in Literature, Art, and Culture, the READ Initiative, the School for Studies in Art and Culture, the Carleton Disability Awareness Center, the Graduate Students Association, and the Carleton University Students Association. And so now I'm going to welcome Michael Orsini to introduce WIT. Thanks, Michael.
Thanks, Fiona. And thanks for all of you for joining us today. The 6th installment, I can't believe, I don't remember when we started this, of the Disruption series. Thanks to Fiona and Sandra for their support of this series from the get-go. A note of access to, it goes without saying, I hope, but folks should do whatever they have to do to feel comfortable in the space. And that means turn off your video, take a break, step away, whatever is necessary. Zoom facilitates this in a way that sometimes in-person gatherings don't. And also, just to describe myself, I'm a white man with thinning brown hair and a goatee, I'm wearing turquoise colored glasses and a busy sort of patterned flowered brown, green, mauve colored shirt. So today's speaker, Whit Lopez, comes to us from Philadelphia. Whit is an award-winning multidisciplinary maker, performance artist, and writer. Their creative practice combines the skills their parents taught them: fiber art, painting, collage, photography, and elements of their formal training in theater, classical music, including costuming, staging, props. Their visual work and performance art uses their background in anthropology and Africana studies as a lens to examine, to decolonize, and reconstruct aspects of their own identity. Through fiber and imagery, Lopez explores accessibility, queerness, gender identity, Blackness, Latinidad, while also fully embracing absurdity, the macabre, and Black existentialism. In addition to their art practice, Whit is the founder and artistic director of Till Arts Project, which is committed to providing resources for LGBTQ+ artists and creators to make and exhibit their work and to network and collaborate with each other. Till Arts also seeks to improve inclusion and equity in the future of the arts and culture sector by giving LGBTQ+ youth the tools and hands-on training they need to be organizers and leaders in the field of arts advocacy and management. Whit is really a fitting guest for our series. I'm trying to remember when I first reached out to them. It's been a while, but this series, as you know, seeks to really disrupt some of the conversations happening in these often separate worlds of art and disability. And in many ways, Whit embodies the ways in which desiring disability can open up a world of possibility that's disruptive in the most generative sense of the word. A world that foregrounds the ways in which disability itself is imbricated and inseparable from other ways of being and doing. When asked by an interviewer, quote, "Seriously, Whit, what don't you do?" Whit's response was perfect. "Being born with and living with disability and chronic illness are pretty much things that fuel most of the projects I do," they said. "The fuel isn't the idea of me overcoming my disabilities and illnesses because I live in harmony with them, not in spite of them. The fuel is in seeing the world and things in it as a giant inaccessible puzzle and trying to solve it for myself in ways that are accessible to me and to others," end quote. Our event today is going to start with a pre-recorded portion that Whit's going to provide, followed by a talk and an activity, and then a question and answer period. So you can add questions to the chat box and then we'll keep track of them, but you can turn on your video later. So we can talk about that after the talk, but in the meantime, thank you again, everyone, for being here. And once again, please join me in welcoming Whit Lopez. Thank you, Whit. Over to you.
Hi, friends. I am so excited to be here today. I see a lot of new faces and I see so many familiar faces too from both Canada and the United States. So I'm very, very excited. It's like a friend party. Hi, friends. And on April Fool's nonetheless. So that being said, there is no talk. I'm kidding now. There is. So it's going to start with a silent film. A silent short film. There was going to be music, but that is a long story as to why there isn't. So it's just going to be a silent short film. And Fiona's going to play that for me. Then after the film, I'm going to give a presentation. And then after the presentation, we'll do a collective activity. So I hope you all brought your extra t-shirt. So if you didn't, there is still time to like run and grab one from your drawer or closet or something, or dumpster if you want. No judgment here. By all means, get what you need to do. So Fiona, please start the film. So I'll explain that documentary. I'll explain it towards the end once we're talking about t-shirt stories. So now I'm going to get into my presentation and talk a little bit more about radical softness and tactile disruptions within performance spaces and exhibition spaces. Bear with me. Okay, this doesn't want to work. Okay, here we go. There we go. Can y'all see that okay? Can I get a thumbs up really quick if you can see it? Okay, great, awesome. So I'm super thrilled to be here. I'm excited to be here. I think this is a really great opportunity. So I'm just going to talk about how I use radical softness and tactile disruptions as a way to make my exhibition spaces and my performances accessible, not just to the audience, but also to myself as a disabled and chronically ill artist and performer. So what is radical softness? Some of you are probably familiar with the phrase. It came about in around 2015. A feminist writer, artist named Laura Mathis kind of coined the phrase pretty much to mean that giving folks a space to kind of explore the depth of their emotions without shame and without being afraid of it. And so I think of this as a way for disabled and chronically ill folks to also explore the depth of their disabilities and the depth of being chronically ill in performance and in art without feeling shame about it as well, and having that grace for ourselves. Because a lot of times the ways that we're trained in the arts can be really inaccessible. Being trained in performance, whether it's dance or instrumental music, vocal music, acting. A lot of the ways that we practice these are extremely inaccessible for people physically and mentally. So using the idea of radical softness to make sure that you're not internalizing the ableism that you've been taught in the arts, and the ableism that is very deeply woven into the fabric of the arts. So I tend to use that in both my performance and my visual practice. So that's just a quick explanation of radical softness and what it means for me in my performance practice. And if the interpreters need me to slow down at all, please let me know. Also, if folks have questions about anything, feel free to put it in the chat, and we'll go over it after this presentation is done. So what are tactile disruptions? So honestly, let's be real. I definitely stole the word disruption from the fact that like the exhibition is disruptions. But it applies here, it applies. So usually within my performances, I'll have something physical for people to touch. And there's multiple reasons for that. And also within my exhibitions, I also have physical things for people to interact with. Now that we're in the middle of a pandemic and we can't really go into galleries or theaters together, there are other ways of doing this, but in the before times, before COVID came, this was what I was doing in performance spaces and in exhibition spaces. So pretty much what I do is that I use things that are reminiscent of what I might be wearing in a performance. So for instance, right, like I have these yarn braids, I have a yarn sweater, whatever, right? So if I'm wearing these to a performance, well, not that performance, if I'm wearing them to a performance, then I'll use something like these spheres that are on the wall here. So in this picture, it's kind of like a hammock made out of yarn, and in the hammock is about 5 beach ball sized crocheted pillows with strings tied at the top to hold them together. And the balls are colorful. The hammock is a deep red color, and the ties that are holding the balls together are a bright turquoise color. So usually I refer to these as pillow balls, and they've been in a lot of my exhibitions, and they come with me to a lot of performances. And in performances, I'll bring them and I'll toss them to the audience. I'll encourage people to toss them back and forth to each other, or even to throw them at me while I'm performing. I still haven't been able to get people to do that. Like, I don't know why you wouldn't want to throw something at the person on stage, you know, but here we are. So this is actually a picture of a local artist from Philly who came to an exhibition and was rearranging them during the exhibition. So I purposely have them there for folks to touch, so it's not like disrespect for people to touch the artwork. So yeah, so they are manipulating the works, which is what they're meant to do, which is what they're for. This is another set of them for a different exhibition, but they were also there for the same exact reason, for people to interact with them, to throw them, to play with them, to hug them if they want. And I also encourage people to swing them around by the strings if they want to, if they feel so inclined to do. So yeah, so usually like with those, for instance, like you see that there's a few of them that are pretty much in the same colorway that I have on. So the colors that are used for these are alternating pink, purple, green, yellow, and orange in different shades and hues. So currently I'm wearing a sweater that's orange, black, purple, and green. So if I was doing this performance in person, I would have taken all of the ones on these shelves that have orange, purple, and green in them, and I would have brought it with me. So there's one that's orange, purple, and green, then there's one that's 2 different shades of purple, another one that's 2 different shades of green, and some other ones that are hidden behind those. But I would have brought it with me, and I would have thrown it to the audience, or I would have handed it out to people. So in some instances, if I'm performing and there are people who have low vision, they can't necessarily see the costume that I'm wearing. So I'll hand them something in the same texture as what I have on. So because this yarn is the same yarn used, or the same brand of yarn used to make those pillows, by me handing them something, like they might be able to hear my performance, they can hear what I'm singing, or they can hear the jokes that I'm telling, but they can't see my costume. This is a way for them to still engage with the texture of my costume without being left out. And so instead, because people in the audience, you know, they're using their ears, their eyes to engage with the performance. So if you can't see the performance, or if you can't see the texture of things as clearly, you're able to use your tactile sense to make up for whatever you can't do with your eyes. So for me, it's an accessibility tool in that it brings people who have low vision or no vision into the performance with me as well, so that they can explore multiple senses, just like folks who have higher vision and hearing as well. So that's one way that I use this for accessibility purposes. So this is just a picture of me with a group of students from an organization called Dent Academy. And if you look, you'll see like they are holding some of these pillows because I handed them out during the performance, and you know, during the performance that I gave them, and they were able to kind of interact with my work as well as an accessibility tool, but also, like I said, as an accessibility tool for me. So I'll explain like how it's an accessibility tool for me in a little bit. So this is just a picture from my art studio. Yeah, it's a mess, I know. but prior to the pandemic, I would also bring this popcorn machine with me to a lot of exhibition spaces, a lot of community programming that I would do. And also just in my art studio, if people came to visit, I would be like, you want some fresh popcorn? I'll make you popcorn, put it in one of these red and white striped popcorn boxes that you get from like a movie theater, or maybe like a county fair or something. And so the reason why I chose popcorn is because the smell of popcorn triggers memories, like good memories usually for a lot of people. So if you're, you know, if you walk into a space and you smell fresh popcorn, you're like, oh, someone's making popcorn. And I mean, also when people burn popcorn, we also definitely are like, somebody is burning popcorn, okay? So, like popcorn is one of those things that just like sticks with people. Even if you don't like to eat it, even if you don't like it, the smell of popcorn tends to trigger a lot of memories for a lot of folks. And usually those memories are associated with things that they remember from their childhood, or just like good nights with friends, right? Like you're sitting on the couch with your friends, you're watching Netflix, y'all have a bowl of popcorn that y'all just made in the microwave. Or maybe you went to see when the circus came to town and you got your first thing of popcorn at the counter at the circus. Or the county fair, right? Like I said before. So, or going to see your first movie, or maybe like the most recent movie you went to see in a theater. Popcorn has a lot of kind of cute memories associated with it for people. So when I bring popcorn into a space, it gives people that they get to exercise their olfactory senses along with their vision or their hearing or their tactile senses in the space. And so that way it's also a performance that is inclusive of people who might, if they can't hear or they can't see, it gives them an opportunity to use another sense to be included in the space as well. So I really wish that I could have sent y'all all like popcorn for this, but yeah, no. So this performance that I did a few years ago, I put this in here, even though there isn't really yarn involved, because there's also other ways that textile is used in a tactile way. So this is a dance performance mostly. It's called rompérselo, which is a Spanish word for like to shatter something or to break something. And so the purpose of the performance is to break the notions of gender, the notions of how we understand gender within traditional Afro-Caribbean dance forms and music forms. So usually somebody who identifies as a woman would be in skirts, traditionally in a folkloric costume to perform. But for me in this performance, I shed the skirts as a means of shedding the common understanding of how gender is perceived and how gender is performed within Afro-Caribbean dance and music spaces. So that's just a little background about the performance itself, so you'll understand what you see next. So pretty much this is me also taking the clothes off. I promise that I have clothes on underneath this. This is not gonna, become X-rated, I promise. I think my parents are in the audience. Trying to keep it PG. Ask me later. Anyway, so I'm taking these off. And then I begin to invite members of the audience to perform with me. And so I come and I reach out to them, I hand them scarves, or I hand them, I think I may have even offered someone to put on a skirt and they were like, I'm good. but yeah, so I offer people the scarves. So a lot of times within like social spaces around this particular dance form, which is called bomba, and it's from Puerto Rico, people can use a scarf in lieu of a skirt. Like if you're at a friend function and somebody starts playing the drums and you don't have a skirt on, if you have a scarf around your neck, you'll take it off and it automatically becomes, what the skirt would have done instead. So in this performance, I stop dancing and I begin to offer members of the audience the scarves to join me in performance. This is for two reasons. One, again, because of the tactile function of textiles in the space, right? It allows people to engage with the performance in a way that they can touch it if they can't necessarily hear the music, or if they can't see what's going on, or it's not clear, they can still engage with the textiles. So pretty much I'm disrupting my own performances with tactile experiences for the audience. So here's me just giving it to somebody. And so what you'll see here is that now there's a group of audience members, two of them here, two of them have scarves and are dancing, and then a few of them have handheld instruments. And so they're also kind of getting into the performance. What you don't see is me sneaking behind them to sit down. So that's me all the way back there, and I'm sitting down behind so I'm sitting at a drum next to the drummer who's there. So I'm sitting here, the drummer's here, and they're still performing. So this is an accessibility measure for me that I do a lot in performance spaces. In a lot of my performances, I create a space for me to rest. And a lot of times it's by creating space for the audience to engage or something, or I invite a lot of guest performers so that I can rest in the middle of my performance and still be able to perform to, still have the performance as long as it needs to be. But so I am someone who I've been diagnosed with 2 different lung diseases. I also have hip problems, back problems, knee problems, and ankle problems. And I've had knee problems since I was a kid. When I was diagnosed with Osgood-Schlatter's disease. And so I still like to dance, I still like to move, but I also have to honor where my body can go and what my body can do. And I have to be real about that with myself. I think a lot, and that's where that radical softness comes in, right? Like feeling the depth of my emotions and also feeling the depth, honestly, of the pain in my joints when I try to do some of these things. But giving myself the space that usually performance spaces wouldn't. So, I mean, if you just think of, for instance, what a ballerina who's part of a professional ballet company goes through, and how, there's expectations of them to dance until they are sometimes like their feet are bleeding. And it's considered the standard of that format. It's like, no, we all have an understanding that we're going to bleed at the end of the day. That's fine. That's okay. Your feet are going to be in a whole lot of pain, but the performance looks amazing. And so kind of thinking about how in the way that we're trained within the arts, a lot of times artists push themselves to a point of pain and bleeding, and we accept it and we're like, no, this is fine. This is how I know I'm good at this. If people call me so that I can hurt myself in front of everyone, that's how you know it's really good performance. That's how you know you're a good performer. But what happens when you're disabled and you still want to perform? What happens when you have chronic pain and chronic illness and you still want to perform? How do you decide to not uphold the standards of ableism within performance and within visual art, but still explore visual art and performance in a way that is accessible to your body and also accessible to members of your audience? So something else, I also have ADHD and I'm on the autism spectrum. And so it's important for me to have space to STEM. And so I'm somebody who, when I was a kid, I would constantly click pens or make noise or tap on something or shake my legs, or I got in trouble so many times at elementary school for just like standing up and being like, I have to go somewhere, I have to move. And the teacher would be like, you have to sit down. You do not have to go anywhere. But it's important for me as an adult now, after being socialized into how to perform as a person and how to perform as a good audience member, which is ableist, let's be real about that, and making the space for myself, or the space that my younger self as a child would have wanted in performance spaces, what I would have wanted to see, what I personally would have wanted to feel. Like if they were like, okay, you know, there's breaks within shows, right? There's intermission. But what if there was like, you need to go pace in the lobby? There's a pace in the lobby break for this performance. I would have loved that. And so what I do instead is that I turn those breaks into art as well. So it gives space for me to do whatever I'm gonna do and turn it into performance. But it also makes space for people in the audience who might also need to STEM, who might also have ADHD or be on the autism spectrum, and they need to move, they need to do whatever they need to do. And sitting as a member of an audience doesn't really make space for that. Usually people who make noise involuntarily or need to move are not considered good audience members. And so what happens? Organizations, performance spaces, exhibitions, they have special nights for people who need special accommodations. And I'm saying that sarcastically, honestly. Like I don't think that I don't think that we should continue to uphold the ableism in spaces and then make one night accessible to people. I don't think that's okay. It's not okay. And a lot of things have to change within arts and culture for them to become more accessible to a lot more people. And we've even seen that with this pandemic about the ways that things have become more accessible, including like this talk, right? This is a lot more accessible for a lot of people who may not have been able to leave their houses or their hospital beds to get to a performance venue or to get to the gallery to see this if it was in person. And so that's just something that I want folks to consider, you know, moving forward in the arts. Like, how are we going to continue to make the arts an accessible space, not just for disabled performers and artists, but also for disabled and chronically ill community members who will become parts of the audience? How are our expectations and how we're socialized to be good audience members ableist? And how do they uphold ableism? So yeah, so, you know, consider tactile disruptions in the future, you know, once the pandemic is over. But yeah, but now that we've talked about tactile disruptions, I'm going to tell y'all a little bit more about the reason why I asked y'all to bring t-shirts. So I'm just going to stop sharing this right now. If y'all have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. So yeah, so you may not have realized this. That video was not actually a documentary. I lied. April Fools. But anyway, so that blanket is actually made out of t-shirts, and it is made out of a bunch of t-shirts from one of my exes. But yeah, I haven't seen that person in like 12 years. They used to bring like garbage bags full of old clothes to my house, and they would be like, I know you make things, so here's a bag of trash. You know? Oh, thank you. So yeah, so the blanket is actually made out of t-shirts from someone, but it wasn't what actually happened in that film. So yeah, so these t-shirts, So what we're going to do with these is we're going to tell stories, or some folks will tell stories. I've actually secretly invited some people to tell stories. But also I want us to do a exercise with these together. So I used to work in retail, and I used to love folding the shirts. I know that's like super weird. It's like, nobody's like, oh my God, shirts. But here we are. So yeah, so there, there's a method that people use, right, to fold shirts in retail so that they end up turning into like this perfect rectangle of a shirt. And so I would do that. I loved it. I loved it, except for when it was like 5 minutes before closing. And there was like one person who needed to look through all 100 t-shirts. If you've worked retail, I'm sure you know exactly what I mean. So yeah, so we're gonna take a couple of breaths now, couple of breaths. It doesn't have to be deep. However, breaths are accessible to you. Let's just breathe in 2 breaths. So 1, 2. And if you have a t-shirt with you, we're gonna fold it twice. So I'm gonna do it again for you, just to show you. We're folding it. All right. And if you're not a folding person and you're the kind of person who comes out of the laundry and you're just like, this is going in a closet, and you're balling up your shirt, you're welcome to ball your shirt up too. Yes, just ball that shirt up. Yes. It's perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. So the reason I chose shirts is because I was like, how am I going to have a tactile disruption with a group of people around the world who I don't know in person, or who I can't interact with in person because of pandemic? But how can I, disrupt myself, disrupt their experience with something tactile and textile if I can't be there with them in person and they can't be with me? And I was like, well, I think a lot of people that I know have shirts. If you don't have shirts, no judgment. Do what you gotta do. I almost didn't wear a shirt to this, but again, my parents. So I was like, well, you know what? T-shirts or just clothing actually, as an archival tool, hold so much information for a lot of us. They hold so many stories, so many experiences. There are some t-shirts that we may never wear again, but we still have it. It's like tucked away in the bottom of a drawer because we're like, that was a t-shirt I wore with grandma at Disneyland, or something of that experience. You might have a t-shirt from when you were 3, or a t-shirt from somebody who may have passed away, but it holds so much meaning to you. And so just thinking of t-shirts as archival tools and as methods of storytelling, like what exactly does your t-shirt hold? There's so much inside of a t-shirt. And I think a lot of times we don't often think about how much a t-shirt embodies for us, except for sometimes when we're like, oh, that's that. Yeah, I know who gave me that for my birthday. I don't want that. When you look at the t-shirt, right? Or sometimes if you wake up in the morning and you're getting ready to go somewhere, you're like, oh, I can't wear that t-shirt to this because that means this, right? Like you're not going to wear a family reunion t-shirt or something to I don't know, someplace where you don't want to wear that t-shirt. but yeah, so t-shirts hold so much for us. That being said, I want y'all, those of you who I didn't tell to have a story, to think of something that you might want to share about a t-shirt in your life. It could be happy, sad, funny, not real. But yeah, if you have a t-shirt story, feel free to put t-shirt ideas in the chat. Oh, someone said, yeah, a lot of LGBT archives have t-shirt collections, and it's true, they absolutely do, because a lot of t-shirts marked events. So it'll be like, oh, this concert from 1982. So thank you to Anne for bringing that up. I appreciate you putting that into the chat. That's it's true. So I'm grateful for that. So that being said, I'm going to invite a couple of people to tell minute-long t-shirt stories. So, and then if any of you have a t-shirt story you want to tell, I will also call on you. So I'm going to see if my parents are in here because I want to call on my dad wherever he is. Hold on a second. Let me. Oh, I see he just turned his camera on. Can you unmute yourself, Mr. Lopez?
How's that?
Yes, we can hear you. Welcome. Tell us your t-shirt story.
Okay, well, my t-shirt story, I don't know if you can see my t-shirt.
If you back up a bit.
Can you see
The
my
lighting is a
t-shirt?
little weird. Oh yeah,
Okay.
Walking Dead, yes.
Yep, well, this t-shirt actually says The Walking Dead. And it was given to me by my daughter, Oriana, on Father's Day before she passed away. And she knew that I was a big fan of The Walking Dead. And she got me this t-shirt that says The Walking Dead. And whenever I wear it, other Walking Dead fans always give me thumbs up and say, oh, great t-shirt. And then I have to tell them, yeah, but it says The Walking Dead. And that's my t-shirt story.
Thank you for sharing. I appreciate that. Thank you.
My pleasure.
That was awesome. Thank you.
We have a few others. We have Emily Cook, and I think we have someone in the chat. Sealy Quest says they're willing to story share.
Okay, cool. So Sealy, you got a minute. Unmute yourself. Where are you? Oh,
Okay.
there you are. Okay.
I'm here. Hey, joining from Montreal, formerly from the Bay Area. What's up?
Welcome.
Thank you. Once upon a time, I went into a friend's punk warehouse that did have a lot of queer people who traveled through, and I found in a dank corner of this warehouse, crumpled on the floor, a big red t-shirt that had been painted, like a big panel on the front of it. There was like a kind of a pink tinged horse, the head of a horse that had really long curly eyelashes, and the horse was cocking his front hoof, and then it had a little cartoon bubble saying, hey. And but literally also when I found it, there was one of the sleeves cut off and the other was on, and it was covered in cat fur. There wasn't any cats living there in a long time, so I don't even know where the shirt came from. It was a mess. But I was like, I'm gonna clean this, and I cut off the other sleeve. I fixed it up, and then I literally wore that shirt with the cut off sleeves for the next 2 years.
That's amazing.
As a layer every single day, under or over my layers. It was my gay horse shirt. Very iconic.
That's amazing. Thank you.
Yes, thanks
I
for that.
appreciate that. That's awesome.
We had Emily, I think, who wanted to share, and then Anne asked if folks wanted to hold up their shirts if they had their video on.
Yes,
and if they wanted to add a brief description of their shirts in the chat for everyone. So if anybody wants to hold up their shirts, please do. And if not, Emily, did you want to share? Sorry, are you still there?
Well, sorry. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna alternate between people that I invited and people that are here.
Absolutely.
So Emily, can you hold that thought, and I will get right to you.
Sorry,
sure
go ahead.
Zeke, can I call you to the stage?
Why, yes. So I was really excited because I'm in the process of packing, and I have a lot of t-shirts because I'm gay. And but I found this shirt, which is the greatest shirt of all time. I don't know if you can see it. Can you see it? It says Jesus has no calories. And so I used to live and work at a yoga retreat center, and twice a week we would have desserts. And so we were eating one of the desserts, and it's, it's a yoga retreat center. So it's, yoga retreat center desserts. And so it was very delicious. I think it was like an apple crumble. And so we were sitting around and we're just like enraptured about this crumble. And somebody was like, oh, this is better than Jesus. And I was like, I don't know. Jesus has no calories. And my friend Sarah was like, that needs to be on a t-shirt. And she was a screen printer. And so she made me this shirt.
Oh, I love that.
Some people have profound sayings, but I have my words. Jesus has no calories, which is absolutely true. And yeah, so also happy Easter.
Thank you. Thank you. I love that it's a custom shirt just for you. That's amazing. Thank you for sharing. Emily Cook, you are up next.
Okay, unmute. Okay, let me just set it up so you can see the shirt, which is not a very exciting shirt, but it's kind of a weird story. Okay, so I was walking down the street and was sort of there were people trying to recruit for blood services, and I let the man know that I couldn't because of well, there's two reasons. One, because I lived in Europe in the 90s, and so they don't want my blood, but also because I have had sex with men who have had sex with men, and that is still a problem, and so that I could not give them blood. And the guy was like, I feel really shitty about that, and gave me this shirt. It was really weird because the interaction was so awkward, and it's this really giant shirt. It's like just the world's like largest t-shirt, so I wear it to sleep in, but it's like just anyway, that was my weirdest t-shirt story. There you go.
Emily, I appreciate that. And I also can't give blood because I have sickle cell. So yeah, I've been told by people, oh no, we don't take that blood because it clogs machines. Like, yes, that blood, that, thank you, me, that. But thank you for sharing that story, Emily, I appreciate it. Lucy Lucas Valentine, you are up next. Tell your story.
This is so hilarious and so educational. When Whit said tell a story, I have feelings because I'm also gay, but not necessarily because I'm gay. And so when Whit said tell a story about a t-shirt, I thought, I didn't even think at all, actually. Because recently I've been given a t-shirt in a very, the way it was given wasn't emotional, but made me feel heroic. So I've had a friend for going on 11 years now that I met on Tumblr. That is because I'm gay. And, but we never lived in similar places. So he's from LA, and I was living in Minnesota while he was going to school in Texas and whatever. But we always like found each other. You know, those friends that I guess, I don't know if other generations besides millennials do that thing, but we did, where we met people on Tumblr and it was like, and now we've been friends for 12 years. Anyway, so I met him for the first time in real life. Thank you. In California about 3 weeks ago. I had planned a family trip, and so I was like, guess what? So it was the whole thing, as you can imagine. What I did not know he was going to do was give me some of his clothes that he had when I met him, which is why it's emotional. I'm not gonna cry. And so he gave me a couple of things. But for him, this is a t-shirt technically. For me, it's like every outfit. That's how people are different sizes. And so he gave me this, which, can people see the 17 part? Oh, here we go. It's peeling. I have to fix it because I didn't realize it was going to come out in the wash. But so he said we met when he was 17 and I was 19. And so he looked me dead in my face with my emotional Aquarian self and said, I wanted to give that to you because it's from the year that I, like, how old I was when we met. And I was like, what? Feelings. He also gave me another shirt of his that I did not recognize at the time. It's, you know, a generic shirt, but he used to wear it all the time when we like FaceTimed or like Skyped or whatever they called it in 2010. And I had forgotten about it. And so it was all this memory of thinking a lot about memory. Anyway, I'm going off, but yeah, this shirt matters a lot to me, and I'm glad that I was able to talk about it on here because memory is cool when you can be friends with it.
Thank you for sharing. That's so cute. And yes, Tumblr gay friends. we're actually friends from Tumblr as well. So relevant. Is anyone else from the audience who I do not know want to share? Is that Brunella? Brunella, please unmute yourself. Tell us your story.
Hello, and I apologize for my English, but I will try to make it easy to understand. So I have this T-shirt that you can read on the, can you see? So this is Nasty Woman. And I bought this from the web when during the first campaign between against Trump against Hillary Clinton. So there is an episode when Trump insulted her and said, "You're such a nasty woman." So some activists made these T-shirts, and so I found on the web and I got it because I felt supportive. I didn't like that. So, but at that time I lived in Rome, Italy. And so I used to wear this shirt and I go to my gym center with this shirt. But it's a story who tells about the misunderstandings on words and different cultures and different languages. So one trainer looked at me, stared at me and said, this means you are kinky. And I said, no, this means, oh, I had my eyes like, I was very embarrassed. And I said, no, this is from Hillary Clinton. You don't know, it's happened some time ago during the campaign. He said, no, I'm convinced you're a kinky woman. So I went back home, and so I explained to my husband that he's American. It's not Italian like me. And he laughed a lot, and he said, "You are silly. You didn't know that nasty has the double meaning." So I didn't got that. So that's my story.
Thank you for sharing, Brunella. And listen, you will not be shamed here. So I'm gonna invite one more person, Dominique Ellis, who's also an artist from Philadelphia. Please, Dominique, share your T-shirt story.
Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to tell my story. I was recently in a hit and run here in Philadelphia.
Oh, so sorry.
So thank you. So it gave me an understanding. And so the T-shirt that I picked out is, I don't know if you can see, it's a T-shirt that I got in New York. And in English, the T-shirt says, "Walk like an Egyptian." And in Arabic, it says Al-Tahrir, which means freedom, referring to the 2011 uprising or revolution. I was in Tahrir Square often and wasn't knowing where I fit or what I was witnessing when I was there. And I returned to the US, to New York, on an emergency flight on day 10 or 11 of the revolution. And in limbo and disillusioned, this T-shirt grabbed my attention on the streets of New York to record that moment. I have not worn a T-shirt in years because they are more like souvenirs. And now I'm actually beginning to work on a quilt from my mother, who for all to kind of show her all of the places that I have been where she couldn't afford to join in.
Oh, I love that you're putting that together for your mom. That's really pretty. That's a really beautiful story.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. And I'm sorry you got hit by a car. That's terrible.
Yeah.
I hope you're recovering okay.
It's slow, but yeah, I really thank you everyone for making me feel so welcome here. It's such a nice, it's so welcoming. Yeah.
Absolutely. So is there anyone else from the audience who I do not know who would like to share a story about a t-shirt? Ovid.
Hi, Whit doesn't know me. My name is Ovid. My pronouns are they, them, there, and I use the word love for pronoun, and I am in Lenape-Hoking area. I can't type, so I wanted to quickly share my t-shirt. My mom sewed a lot, and when we were younger, I have 3 siblings. We're like 5 years apart from the oldest to the youngest, so she would often make a lot of like coordinating outfits, and I kind of still like that. But what it means is like every time there's a baby or an event, either coordinate outfits, or lately they've been just getting them printed. So there was a 2-year-old's birthday party, and the theme was Sesame Street, one of my favorites. There's a Muppet in the background. So they're like, who do you want to, what character do you want on your shirt? Ernie, or like, I don't know, whatever, Bird or Susie, whatever. And I said, no, none of this Cookie Monster, Oscar. I love a good Oscar, but none of that. Take me all the way back to Roosevelt Franklin, who was a Black Muppet a very long time ago.
Love that.
It also came with it also said like, mom of the birthday boy and uncle or aunt. And I was like, no, just please, just put my name. So it just says Ovid of the birthday boy with this very old school first Black Muppet.
Oh, I love that. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And yes, Roosevelt Franklin was definitely a favorite Muppet of mine growing up. So thank you for sharing that. Thank you to everyone who shared a story, including the stories that I saw in the chat. I love these. Thank you, Felicity, for sharing a story. And I saw another story, Marissa. I love that one. Yes, art is now cash only. I love that. And Jennifer, thank you for sharing. And Anne, I really appreciate all these stories. So I know that we're a little bit over like the schedule a little bit. But if there was any questions.
Do you think would you mind entertaining a few questions if folks have?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah? Okay.
I was just about to say that.
Lovely.
See, we're on the same page.
Right on.
We're on the same t-shirt.
Does anybody want to either pose a question in the chat or raise your hand and ask the question while we have a little bit of time left? And Whit is generous in terms of their time as well. I'm just looking for hands or questions.
Sealy?
Yeah,
Sealy?
thanks.
Okay.
So maybe a basic question, but ways that people could find out more about forthcoming projects or endeavors of yours, and maybe if you just want to mention briefly something you're feeling excited or hopeful about with your own practice right now.
Sure. So I would say the best way is probably to follow my Instagram, because I'll post about upcoming things in the Instagram stories, and I'll try to repost posts that are made by other folks. So like when the gallery, the Carlton Gallery made a post, I reposted it. I also try to post it onto my Facebook artist page. So if there's anything coming up, I'll usually try to post there. Yeah, so that's probably the best way to follow any upcoming stuff. I'm very bad marketing my own events. so yeah, it's kind of, I'm surprised that some of my friends are here who I didn't personally like reach out to, because I was like, oh, I'm so bad at this. But yeah, so things that I'm excited about in my own art practice. So recently, I've started making what I call digital quilts, because I was horrified when I found out that 7% of the world's garbage dumps and waste is textile. And so even though I would love to make actual physical quilts, I also want to be mindful of the planet and of the folks who keep the planet, to make sure that I'm not contributing to the waste that exists, the textile waste that exists. I feel like I saw another hand. Was it Ellen? Okay, I thought I saw you.
This is a small but cheeky question. You're a real flutist, aren't you?
Yes. Yes, I am.
That's how I know, because you like, that was like spot on. And also when people aren't flutists and they pretend to play the flute, they go. So that was just awesome. Thank you for a great presentation. They're really lovely to get to.
From one flautist to another. Thanks for coming, and thanks for that question. I appreciate it. Any other questions, thoughts, concerns, scathing reviews? I don't see any hands, or maybe I'm missing something. Oh, my father has a question. I bet you it's not a real question. No, unmute yourself. I can't hear y'all.
Okay, it wasn't unmuted. This is not your father. This is your other parent.
Hi, Mama. That's my mama, everybody. Say hi to my mama. Little wave at my mama. Yes, beautiful lady.
Listen, I think you did. I just had to say, I think you did an awesome job. I couldn't imagine when she said t-shirt stories, but I like them. And I think my all-time favorite was, all of them were cute and adorable, was Roosevelt Franklin, because that takes me all the way back to the 60s when he was kind of first coming out, you know, 60s, early 70s, and the whole thing. And I thought, wow, that's really cute. That's really, really nice. But I think you did an awesome job. I like,
thank you.
The thing, and it made me realize, I don't know if this is recorded and it can be shared out, because there's so many people in the world who have special needs, because that's what I work in a school with children with special needs. And I think this would be something that would help behind the scenes with us re-entering back in after COVID, just to be mindful. So if you have a way to send some of the information, I would love to have it.
I mean, you could always bring me to your school for a talk if you want.
Oh, I can do that too.
You're too expensive.
Well, thank you, Mama. Appreciate you.
Yes.
I'm going to mute you now.
Yes, fine. Thank you.
Are there any other questions, or I think we are, I think we're near the end.
Oh, well, Sandra wants to ask a question.
Oh, Sandra. Okay, maybe the last question goes to Sandra. Thank you.
Whit, I'm wondering, do you do tactile disruptions in public as well, in your like everyday life, or is that in your gallery artist life?
So the tactile disruptions I usually save for venues, but in real life, I do these other things that I call like audacity performances. And it's usually just me being very strange in public. So it's a lot of clowning, but in ways that are not harmful to other people. So I have this one performance that I did maybe 2 years ago now, goodness, called Taking My Unicycles for a Walk. And so I kind of dressed up, covered my face, just had on a hoodie and a scarf and sunglasses, and was just walking these two unicycles down the street. And I walked maybe for about a mile, just like, people were like, people stopped their cars and were like, "What are you doing?" out of the window, and I just, I would stop and I would like go around people in a circle with these two unicycles. And I got a lot of strangers to just like break down laughing, who were just like, "This is ridiculous. I don't know what's happening right now." And then just keep going, just to kind of like be a bright spot in people's days. So I used to do those a lot before the pandemic, but I'm possibly considering doing some more. Maybe.
That's great. Well, I think if there are no other questions, I want to thank Whit again, and family members and friends and all of you who joined us. You really, I think this really, and I don't remember the last time a Zoom was so interactive, and I think the T-shirt stories really brought that home in an important way. So thank you, Whit.
Thank you.
And thanks to Fiona and Sandra again for supporting the series, and we look forward to, if you want to follow, we'll give you links to Whit's Instagram so we can follow what they're up to and where the next disruption will be happening. But in the meantime, thanks everyone, and wishing you all the best.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Whit.
This was so nice. Oh, thank you. And thank you for sharing your stories. I had so much
you.
fun today. Go out and have some happy April Fool's Day.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye-bye, Whit. Bye-bye,
Bye.
everyone.